Welcome to Prime 9, the countdown show that covers the very best in baseball. Guaranteed to start arguments, not end them. This episode features the pitchers with the 9 greatest fastballs. Why 9? That's baseball. 9 players, 9 innings. Prime 9. It's not as artsy as a curve, as funky as a knuckleball, or quite as dramatic as a slider. But the fastball is without a doubt the most eye-popping pitch in the game. There's nothing quite like an explosive heater.
Struck him out! 97-mile-an-hour heat.
One who's very sound when it flies by or smacks in the catcher's mitt. Makes you sit up and take notice.
Strike 3 call!
The pitchers we've chosen had to stand out for that one particular pitch, and our flamethrowers couldn't have flamed out after just a year or two. Finally, we only looked at men who pitched the majority of their careers in the major leagues.
Got him with a fastball. He loves to ring guys up.
Every year, it seems a new fastball master makes his debut with this potent weapon.
That one on the guns at 106.
It's the ones who have endured and made others marvel in the process that you are about to meet. We begin with number 9. On Prime 9. When Sam McDowell broke into the majors in 1961 at the age of 18, his sneaky fastball quickly earned him a nickname.
When somebody came up with Sudden Sam, they said, that's right. It's so sudden, it comes on you so sudden, so it stuck.
Almost seems to jump as he delivers the ball.
I want to hide my arm until I'm ready to release the ball, which means I would always keep everything down by my side where the hitter's out this way. He would never see it until I get spread about here right before I release it.
What made McDowell's deceptive delivery even more devastating was the high-digit heat that it unleashed.
He struck out the side.
I had no problem with getting up to 103. In fact, it was more close to the average that I threw. One of the things that made me effective was not just my speed, but the fact that I didn't know where it was going. And so obviously the hitter didn't know where it was going. And that made them, for some reason, a little uneasy when they were at the plate.
McDowell is an erratic.
Erratic, yes, but from 1965 through 70, he was as dominant as anyone in the game.
McDowell strikes him out.
He posted 2 300 strikeout seasons and averaged 275 a year during that stretch.
There's that high hard one by McDowell.
In this golden age of pitching, when men like Koufax, Gibson, and Marichal plied their craft, Sudden Sam and his blazing fastball led the majors in strikeouts per 9 innings 5 times. And his 10.71 mark in 65 was a major league record for 19 years.
Struck him out. And McDowell.
When he had strikeouts, it wasn't really, wow, he's got that many. No, you expected it because he threw that hard.
When Robin Roberts joined the Phillies in 1948, they'd had just one winning season in their past 30.
Robin Roberts, youthful fastballer of the Phillies.
But though he was young, Roberts quickly emerged as the team's ace, and in just his 3rd season, he led the Whiz Kids to their first pennant since 1915. Robin was on top of the world.
That was the biggest thrill I had. I was 23 years old at the time, but I remember it so well. It was a great thrill.
It was just the beginning of a decade of brilliance for Robbie, one fueled in great part by his fastball.
The league's winningest pitcher, Robin Roberts, takes his turn.
Robin averaged 301 innings and 20 victories a year in the 50s. 4 times he led the league in wins.
The Phillies, Robin Roberts, winner of most games in the major leagues.
And 237 times in that decade, he completed his starts.
These are all parts to the Robin Roberts resume that make him truly one of the greatest the game has ever seen.
And that resume was built on the strength of a fastball that was known more for its placement than its speed.
I was basically a one-pitch pitcher. I didn't change speeds much. I relied on movement and control.
What made Robbie's fastball good was he had fantastic control. He could put the pitch anywhere he wanted.
Robert's philosophy was he was going to throw it, he was going to throw it exactly where he wanted, and if the batter hit it, so be it.
Although he played on losing teams for much of his career, Robin rode that fastball to 286 victories and a place called Cooperstown.
More than anything, I appreciate what sports can do for you. I can't still imagine being able to have the life I had just by throwing a baseball.
He led the Philadelphia Phillies to the 1950 pennant and was the ace of their staff for more than a decade. Robin Roberts.
Number 7.
Look at Mighty Mouse. Hey, Mighty Mouse.
You actually look big on this thing.
Billy Wagner was not the most imposing presence on the mound, at least until he pitched.
He was short in stature, you know, he's not a big guy. He probably was 5'9", you know, if that, and the ball would just explode out of his hand. Just with a blink of an eye, it was on you. Bam! Just like that.
And he is airing it out tonight.
You think that because he's small, he doesn't have a devastating fastball, but this guy's legs are thicker than a horse's, so he generates a lot of power from there.
He blows him away.
He wasn't intimidating on the mound at all until you see the ball come out of his hand. And all of a sudden the ball explodes on you at 100, 101.
And that was 101.
And when you delve into the numbers, Billy the Kid emerges as one of the most unhittable pitchers the game has ever seen.
Wagner strikes out the side.
He was virtually impossible to hit.
Struck him out!
I think I put one ball in play off of him.
Consider that among relievers with at least 600 games, Wagner's rate of strikeouts per 9 is the highest, and his rate of hits allowed per 9 the lowest.
The first time I faced him, the first pitch, I didn't really see it. I stepped out of the batter's box and was like, oh, I'm in trouble.
Blew him away, struck him right out of there.
It was like a comic streak going by. It was like Haley's Comet, and I think I was 0 for 8 with 7 punch-outs.
It's another strikeout.
Billy's 9 seasons with 30 or more saves ranks 4th all time, and his 422 career saves checks in at number 5. And those are fastball facts.
A 1, 2, 3, 9, Billy Wagner.
Billy Wagner is one of the greatest closers of all time. When he got the ball, it was always exciting to watch the radar gun light up, and it was very rare to see him get hit at all.
There's little doubt that Mariano Rivera is the greatest closer in baseball history, with more than 600 career saves, an average of 38 a season.
He's done it! The greatest relief pitcher in the history of baseball.
And he became a cut above the rest on the strength of one pitch.
That cutter is just unhittable. I would sit on the bench and marvel at how you can just continually throw that cutter over and over and over when they knew it was coming.
It's the cutter over and over again.
Everybody knows how tough that pitch is to hit. You think that the ball is right there on the strike zone, and all of a sudden just go inside your bat like a screwdriver.
Rivera's cut fastball destroyed bats and batting averages on both sides of the plate.
Just moves in on you if you're a left-handed hitter and moves away if you're a right-handed hitter.
I've never seen a pitcher break so many bats in my life.
He's broken 2 bats here in the last 2 swings.
He throws chainsaws up there. When they hit their bat, he's breaking it. He throws so hard and the ball cuts in so fast that he's impossible to hit.
It's the most unbelievable pitch I've ever seen.
Utterly amazing.
You know it's coming, and you still can't hit it.
They should be illegal.
Many believe the Yankees' recent dynasty would never have existed without Rivera.
Mariano's the greatest closer in baseball history. What he's done in the postseason, I think, is what really separates him from the rest.
In almost 100 postseason games, Rivera has an ERA just under 1.
Here it is. Hit it if you can.
He has more than 40 postseason saves, more than twice as many as anyone else.
Many consider Mariano one of the greatest pitchers of all time, essentially with one pitch.
And he holds the postseason record of 34 1/3 consecutive scoreless innings.
What he's been able to do with one pitch has probably been one of the most amazing feats in the game of baseball.
The Yankees are world champions for the 27th time.
It's hard to think how many championships the Yankees would have without Mariano. The role that he has played in this run since 1996 is as big as anyone. We've all been blessed with his presence.
Lefty Grove, seen here in 1925 when he joined the Philadelphia Athletics, was one of the fastest pitchers who ever lived.
They talk about 100 miles an hour. I think he threw that ball 200 miles an hour. Looked like a pea coat up there.
Grove was a power pitcher. What was that?
You can't equal that guy.
He's the best I have ever seen. He was overpowering. He just threw it so hard, it almost knocked the bat out of your hand.
His blazing fastball and fiery disposition helped make Robert Moses Grove one of the best pitchers of his era. And in his case, patience truly was a virtue.
Lefty Grove didn't come to the majors till he was 25 years old. He was such a good pitcher for the minor league Baltimore Orioles that Jack Dunn, the owner, refused to sell him until he got the top price.
They had it in mind that they wanted $100,000, and until somebody gave them that, they weren't going to sell him.
Well, in 1925, he finally became a Philadelphia Athletic when Connie Mack broke the bank and bought Lefty for the princely sum of $100,600. It was money well spent.
I think it could be argued that when Lefty Grove came up to the Philadelphia A's as a rookie, he was immediately the best pitcher in the American League.
Lefty seemed to get better each and every year. And when the 1930s dawned, he was off the charts.
You read quotes from the batters who faced Grove, and they all said the same thing. You knew what was coming, but so what?
In an era that is legendary for its offensive power, Grove emerged as a 300-game winner and a Hall of Famer.
Lefty Grove was as phenomenal a pitcher as baseball has ever seen, and there are some people who make the case that he was simply the greatest pitcher that ever lived.
No one's fastball lived as long as the 27 years Nolan Ryan pitched in the majors. And there was one word best used to describe it.
A blur?
Nolan's fastball was a missile with little guidance when he first broke in with the Mets in 1966.
Well, it must have been terrifying to go up to the plate against Nolan Ryan. Because for the first 6 or 7 years of his career, he had no idea where the ball was going.
He would always walk a lot of batters, but still, he produced numbers that were staggering. In 1973, Nolan set the modern Major League record with 383 strikeouts and threw his first 2 no-hitters.
He popped it up. A tough play. No-hitter, Nolan Ryan.
I think every time a fan went to a game that Nolan Ryan pitched, you said, hey, there's a chance we're going to see a no-hitter tonight.
Nolan Ryan, no-hitter number 5.
He was the premier power pitcher of the last 50 years.
The 7 no-hitters he recorded in his career is a number that may never be matched.
That's it! Number 7 is in the books. The remarkable Ryan has done it again.
Nolan Ryan was a physical freak.
Call strike 3, there's 300.
The grunt told you it was a fastball.
Ryan was a firm believer that his speed was a byproduct of his legendary work ethic.
For me to make the most of my ability, I had to be in the best shape I could possibly be. The better I could maintain my stuff during the course of the game, then the better chance I had of helping the ball club and win ball games.
Nolan Ryan won 324 games in his Hall of Fame career, pitching for 4 teams over the course of almost 3 decades. And somehow that fastball never seemed to lose its pop.
He was almost a freak of nature because he could throw that baseball almost at 100 miles an hour at the age of 42 years old.
He just blew it by him.
I don't think we'll ever see anybody like him again.
He struck him out swinging. Strikeout number 5,000 is history for Nolan Ryan.
This is Dazzy Vance, the fireball king of baseball.
Charles Arthur Dazzy Vance took a much different route to fastball fame than others in this show.
Dazzy Vance must have spent 10 years in the minor leagues trying to become a major league pitcher. Wild. He was real wild.
Dazzy Vance pitched in 6 different minor leagues for 10 different teams with 2 short cups of coffee in the major leagues before finally becoming an established major league regular at the age of 31 when he joined the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1922.
And he had as good a fastball as you want to see, and after all those years in the minor leagues, he finally got control and he became a big pitcher in the big leagues.
Did he ever? Vance won 18 games in each of his first 2 full big league seasons. He also led the majors in strikeouts those 2 years, just the start of a 7-year stretch in which he struck out more than anyone in his league.
Vance was putting up these extraordinary strikeout rates and doing it in large part with the fastball. His fastball was noticed by everybody. It was remarked upon by everybody.
Show that old masterpiece, you know, Daz.
In the middle of all of that success, Dazzy Vance had one of those extraordinary seasons that we look back in a little bit of awe even to this day. In 1924, he was named the National League MVP, won the National League pitching Triple Crown, leading the league in strikeouts, wins, and ERA. It is truly a phenomenal season.
When Dazzy's dazzling fastball eventually flamed out, he had 197 career wins and 2,045 strikeouts. Incredible numbers when you consider that he didn't pitch a full season until the age of 31.
When people are looking at fastballs, when people are talking about fastballs, when people are being awed by fastballs, it's Dazzy Vance's who is at the very top of that list.
We now return to Prime 9, where in this episode, we're featuring the pitchers who had the best fastballs. These are men who stood out for that one signature pitch, and they had to have thrown it for a number of years. So now we present the 2 greatest fastball pitchers of all time, men whose legacy has certainly endured. We begin with number 2.
And here's Bob Feller, Cleveland's pitching ace.
Just how fast was Bob Feller's fastball? So fast it earned him 3 nicknames: Bullet Bob, Rapid Robert, and the Heater from Van Meter.
Feller was a farm boy who came out of Van Meter, Iowa, came to the Cleveland Indians at the age of 17, and was an immediate sensation as a strikeout pitcher.
Feller fanned 15 batters in his very first start, and just 3 weeks later tied the major league record with 17 Ks. And it sure didn't hurt that he was effectively wild.
When he first came up, he didn't have too much control. He scared everybody in the ballpark when he went out on that pitcher's mound.
He didn't know if he's throwing it over the plate or back in. Over 100 miles an hour? Yay. That'd be scary. I think I turned white a couple times.
The sheer speed of Feller's fastball was a source of fascination and fun.
Bingo! That ball was traveling better than 100 miles an hour.
They clocked his fastball with methods that are not as modern as today. They clocked his fastball at 113. He could really throw.
Human arm could only throw so hard, and he could throw that hard. He just could fire.
Rapid Robert rode his heat to 7 strikeout titles, tied for the 4th most all time.
My fastball is a live fastball most days. Some days your fastball does more than others. I pitch high and tight to right-handers and inside to left-handers.
Bobby was so fast, he could throw that ball so hard. And if he got it below the belt, the ball would sink. If he got it above the belt, it'd just sail into you.
An 8-time All-Star, Feller was without a doubt one of the hardest throwers in the history of the game.
He was the greatest fastball pitcher of the age. Only he and Walter Johnson could be mentioned together at that same point.
And still today, they are mentioned together as we move on to number 1. For here we do indeed find Walter Johnson of the Washington Senators, a man they called the Big Train for a reason.
If you've ever stood on a train platform as a train comes whizzing by you, that's where the nickname the Big Train comes from. It's terrifying, it's incredible, and that's the way that fastball was.
Ty Cobb said that Johnson was the only pitcher who made the ball whistle as he threw it.
Everybody who ever faced him said they'd never seen or heard a fastball like that before.
Johnson's legendary velocity may have been in part due to his delivery.
He had a very unique style of pitching. He had very long arms, and he basically just drew his right arm back and slung a baseball the way you would throw a stone trying to skip it across water.
His motion was almost underhand. He just reared back and snapped it up there. There was no follow-through. It was all arm action.
batters used to say he made it look so easy. They said he looked like he was just playing catch, and then the ball was by them.
Pitching from 1907 through 27, Johnson became the first man to record 3,000 strikeouts. He also won the pitching Triple Crown 3 times and accomplished all this primarily on the strength of one scintillating pitch.
He was a single pitch pitcher. He just threw that fastball over and over again.
It was pretty much one fastball after the other, and even the greatest hitters said you knew what was coming. You knew what pitch he was going to throw, and you knew it was going to be over the plate, and you still couldn't hit him. That's just how difficult it was facing Walter Johnson.
For more than half a century, Johnson's fastball was the gold standard, the one by which all others were judged. It's fun to think that we now might have a new torchbearer, and coincidentally, he too can be found in Washington. When Steven Strasburg made his big league debut in 2010, it was must-see TV. He wowed us with his heat.
6 of the last 7 have found.
His control, and his penchant for leaving seasoned hitters in his dust.
He strikes out the side for the second straight inning.
Had there been a national television broadcast for Walter Johnson's debut, viewers might have heard a similar level of excitement.
He brings his total to 14.
Now, we're not saying that Steven Strasburg is on the same track as the big train. But with an engine like that for a right arm,
if this guy reaches his upside, he's a potentially historic player.
That's our Prime 9. What's yours?